Aujourd'hui, nous avons un invité très spécial pour le podcast La Liberté. Bienvenue Stéphane, ça va?
Ça va très bien. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Constantin.
Really appreciate it, mate. And after years of practicing French, it kind of finally...
Now it's your moment to shine.
I really appreciate you, mate. I really enjoyed our flight that we had last time. You've been helping me out with a few filming as well inside the cockpit. Yeah. And Stefan is an absolute world-class photographer. He's going to share his incredible journey growing up in France, doing shoots for Ferrari, Cadillac. He's even documented like the Olympic Games and even shot Miss France.
That's correct.
Which is absolutely incredible.
It's a beautiful experience, yeah.
Now, today we're going to dive into Stefan's journey. He has had so many ups and downs growing up in France and becoming the world-class photographer that he is right now. It's going to be incredibly inspiring, and also understanding his mindset of how he's been able to constantly reinvent himself through the journey. Then we're going to talk a little bit about AI. This is obviously huge in our space. You are doing photography, now you've transitioned into more of a traditional, or I must say, more of a classical paid advertising package that you're selling and offering. And that has obviously been, we've obviously been impacted by that. And we're going to talk about how businesses can evolve through AI, what kind of things to look for, and just have a general discussion about like offers and ways how service businesses and generally can improve the perception online, create content that sells, and grow the business with paid advertising.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Again, thank you so much for joining today. I would love to dive deep into your story, starting in France, right? Like you didn't grow up in Paris. How did you end up make the move to Paris and become the photographer and doing all these world-class shoots?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in south of France in Marseille, and I did some electronic studies as a background. And then it happened to, life happened where I started drumming at the age of 15, so I was a drummer. And then I went all in with the music industry, so I was looking for a band, and then I found some partners. We created a band that was called Fico. And we started touring all across France with like big names, you know, like American bands like Fall Out Boy for some of the famous, or President of the USA, which is very big. And then we ended up doing all of these amazing stages in Paris and stuff. But then in 2008, the band splitted. And so for me, it was like it was very hard. It was very tough that moment because that band was my drive, you know. And so I went into like a bit of a depression for about a year. And then I was dating that chick by that time, and she was like, oh, maybe you should come to Paris, and you know, it's gonna be a fresh new start. So that's actually what I did. I quit everything in south of France, and then I moved to Paris. And so it was the beginning of a new life, you know? Yeah.
Awesome. And how did you get your foot into the photography game? So you moved to France, or you moved to Paris. Did you like it's a huge city. I've been to Paris like 5 times or something. I absolutely love it. And like what made you go into the photography, and how were you able to get to your initial first few clients?
Yeah, for sure. Paris is overwhelming, like you just said. It's a big city, very challenging as well. You know, from where I came from, like south of France, little town in the countryside, you know. When I first came in Paris, people laughed at me, like they thought I was, you know, like I don't know, riding tractors and stuff in south of France, and they didn't take me seriously at first in different industries. So I had to rebuild that sort of momentum, and it was very tough. So I started again from scratch, and I started by working at a radio station, which is called Radio France. It's one of the biggest radio in France, actually. And starting doing this, so meeting a few celebrities coming for podcasts and, you know, interviews and that sort of stuff. And then I started working in the cinema industry, the movie industry, as an assistant director. And I've always been into photography, still, or moving images as my early age, young kids. And I remember I was probably 13, 14 years old, and I was using that camera from my parents and doing some direct editing, you know, filming one side and then the other side. So you didn't even have to edit afterward. It was the first, you know, the premises of video, I guess. But yeah, I've always been into photography and filming. And so later on, I purchased my first camera when I was in Paris, and I started that journey. So yeah, people ended up asking me to charge and invoice. That's how it started.
Incredible. And tell me, off camera, we've gone through your journey, and one of the key moments in your photography journey was the fact that you were able to rent an office at the Champs-Élysées, which is kind of like, that's the key area of like all the fashion in the world, pretty much. Yeah. Everyone knows the street, like all the fashion and all the stores and everything is around that. Yeah. And you had, which is incredibly tough to actually to even be in that position, you had there an office for a whole year, and that allowed you to attract a lot of the top clients that we just spoke about, Miss France and a bunch of others.
Yeah. The craziest part of that thing is that I didn't even pay a dime for about a year of rent, which is crazy. We're gonna jump into it. But basically what happened is that I started shooting for this massive photojournalism company, which is called CIPA Press. And they were sending me on different celebrities shoots. So I got to shoot amazing people, you know, in different industries, TV presenters, music stars, that sort of areas. And one day, CIPA sent me on a shoot with a TV presenter that was doing an exhibition at Studio Harcourt, which is a very, very famous photography studio in Paris. They have a very, very particular look. And I met a woman that day, so we kept in touch. And afterward, I was looking to rent a studio, and you know, Paris is very expensive in terms of the rent. So I wanted to split that cost with another photographer or another person, and so I put an ad on Facebook. And that woman that I met at this exhibition came back to me, and she was like, "Look, I might have an amazing opportunity for you, so I'll get in touch with you, and yeah, just meet me on the Champs-Élysées tomorrow." And I'm like, "Yeah. Of course, sure." So I'm coming the day after to that meeting, and she introduced me to a person which is the owner of like a building corporation, like a property investment company. And yeah, we have this chat, and he's like, "Look, I have this massive boardroom in our offices. We don't use it. It's like 67 meters square. We don't use it. So it can be your space if you want. The only thing I would ask is anytime I want you to go on a shoot for a construction site or whatever, you just do it." And I'm like, I looked at him in the eyes, and then we shook hands, you know.
And I didn't sign a contract or anything, right? No, like it's just so.
And he gave me the keys of that studio, and I was like, oh my God. And that's how it started, having this studio on the Champs-Élysées.
Tell me about the shoot with Miss France. Like, how did that come about, and what was the experience like?
Yeah, for sure. So I just didn't shoot only the Miss France in studio. I also followed the show for different places in Paris, and it was incredible, to be honest. Like being surrounded by so many people, so many talented people. Looking at all the people working in the back of these shows, you know, like so many talented people, very great experience. And then I got this opportunity to work with like a few people that was working for magazines that got me into massive publication to shoot Miss France in studio. So I shot Marine L'Orphelin in 2013. That was the first Miss France in 2013. And the second that I shot was Flora Coquerel in 2014. So yeah, it was such an amazing experience. And there was also the biggest TV channel in France that's called TF1 that was there to shoot a documentary onto it. So yeah, it was very challenging, you know, having that sort of experience, because it's also puts you out of your comfort zone, but that's where you grow up the most. So yeah, very grateful to have had these experiences.
Incredible. And what about the Olympic Games?
Yeah. So Olympic Games, basically still working for CIPA Press. They give me a buzz one day and they're like, are you interested to cover the Olympic Games? And I'm like, Yeah, for sure.
No, that's not a project we want to do.
But what we have to coming back is that's the moment where I came back to France because COVID hit here and we've had a lot of stuff happening. My dad got sick at that moment in 2020, so that's when I decided to come back whenever the borders here reopen. But maybe we're gonna touch base on that.
Yeah, okay. That's a bit. That was the Olympic Games in France. Indeed, like post that story, we're jumping ahead a little bit. But I think the key lesson here as well is like once you're in that environment of celebrities, high-end businesses, which personally also changed my life. Like in the advertising industry, I personally try to reach out to the top players in our space. ClickFunnels, Gym Launch, even Go High Level, the software you use, have been our clients. And as a result, that just trickles down and it's so much easier to sign and new businesses and new brands. And it elevates your business up as well. And the experience that you get, no one will ever be able to take away from you. You've shot Miss France, you've done the Ferrari shoot, Olympic Games even. Sure. So that's an incredible result, mate. That's fantastic. Then you've had that office for a year, and you mentioned out of the sudden that deal fell apart, yeah. And you were again just like you were with your band journey. Out of the sudden that collapsed, yeah. And here you no longer basically had that office, and you were no longer aligned with the work kind that you were doing. Could you tell me about that part?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, I'm a big believer of things happen for a reason, and if you don't feel aligned anymore with the environment you're with or the people you surround yourself with, then things are going to happen in your life, and the universe is going to throw challenges at you, so you gotta keep that open eyes and open mind about things. So basically at that moment, from a day to another, I didn't have any more studio because do you want me to get into that story?
Look, it was basically, it was a handshake, right? But there was obviously no agreement or any contract.
Yeah.
And it just fell apart. There was something being sold or like whatever, and yeah. that was just no longer the studio that you had.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, things happened. There were lawsuits in between the different business partners. And one night, the secretary woman, she calls me and she's like, "Oh, Stefan, you got to come and take all your belongings because there's someone coming from the lawsuit tomorrow, and then you're gonna be in trouble with it." So at 11 p.m., I call my friend and I'm like, "Oh, dude, we're gonna go and take all my stuff at the studio." So I got there, took all my stuff, put everything in the car, put the keys in the box, and then left and never looked back. That's how it ended. But at the same time, like I felt like I was kind of over Paris. I wanted to move forward. I needed a better lifestyle because, I was sick of seeing the gray sky every single day in Paris. The pollution, the pickpockets, like at some point you start seeing all the negative sides, and then I didn't want that anymore. So I was like already in my mind sort of shifting, trying to move to another location. And then one day, a friend of mine, she's a makeup artist, we were having a shoot with a model. And randomly I asked, like, "What do you do for Christmas this year?" And she's like, "I'll be in Australia." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm moving there on a working holiday visa." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Well, sell your stuff and come." And that's when it clicked in my mind. And I was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to go. So I did it.
Incredible. I've got a similar story where I got a close friend of mine. He initially with his brother, his name is actually also Stefan. He's from Belgium. Those brothers are actually quite inspired me and made huge changes in my life just by, I guess, like showing the example or doing things in a very different way. You see, I studied engineering, and everyone in my peer group, everyone's, I guess, dream was just to get a job straight away after the engineering course. But with Stefan and his brother Arno, they went to Australia for a year, and they showed me all the beautiful photos in Western Australia and the beautiful landscapes, and the Christmas in Sydney. It's like so hot, and it's incredible, right? So we've got the hot weather here during the regular winter months in Europe, And that journey inspired me a lot. I was like, oh wow, like you could actually come and work here, and that's exactly what I did. And with the intention to find work here as well in the space, which I never did. Instead, I got slapped in the face, and I was working in the fruit farms up in Queensland, picking bananas and mangoes and stuff. So that was like a cold hard snap in my face of like, what you've studied actually doesn't make any difference. It's what the market actually needs and wants.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in the business sense as well, which was a huge lesson. No one cares what you studied, what you've done. People care about your experience, what you can do for them, what sort of service you can provide. So incredible stuff. And then you straight away moved to Melbourne. You restarted your photography journey because you've already been building up a lot of contacts with agencies and partners and stuff. Yeah. So straight away you moved in here. You're able to pick up L'Oreal as well, like I think Ferrari, or was the Ferrari in France?
No, L'Oreal and Ferrari was here in Melbourne. What's happened is that I didn't come just straightforward. I prepared a little bit my arrival beforehand, so I started contacting photographers, agents, model agencies, because I was shooting a lot of models back then, and collection and campaigns as well. So I got lucky because Giant Management, which is one of the biggest model agency in Melbourne, replied back, and they were very interested in my profile. So they got me on board on the creative roster, which was amazing, and very grateful for that experience because they put me on this massive L'Oreal shoot with Ben and Jackie Gillies from the Melbourne Housewives. So it was such a wonderful experience being surrounded by amazing creatives. So a lot of pressure, but at the same time, very rewarding, you know. And then Ferrari and that sort of other brands came afterward where, you know, you keep on developing the network and then, you know, it happens more naturally. But something I wanted to touch point on, coming back to what you were saying, you had different experiences in your life as well. And I think that that's what brought us together here today, is that we both knew how to move forward, no matter the challenges in our lives. We knew how to move forward and surpass that bad moments to grow up and get the skills, you know. I think that's something interesting to note here.
Yeah, it's a constant learning of, like, well, what I realized about life, there's really nothing to gain here, right? We come and go, unfortunately. And the only thing you can learn, or the only thing you can do here, is you can learn something, right? You can start a business, learn the skills, and develop, but you could also stay in the same job that you've always worked in, and then in the end of your life, you will also learn a lesson. Yeah. And in the end of the day, I think it's all about living your dream. It's about setting a goal, no matter what, trying to push towards a goal, and figuring out all the skills and all the things that you need along the way, and living an exciting life. That's what I try to do on the Freedom podcast as well. It's to inspire people to live an exciting life. I love doing like podcasts in unique settings. I could have had just a studio and then just pop people in one after each other, and then just kind of like an factory, you know, which is a very successful model. But I love capturing the conversations that I have with unique people in kind of like behind the closed doors. Yeah. And after our initial flight over Moorabbin, when I heard your story, I was like, yeah, dude, this is just absolutely insane. You know, congrats on all the success you've had thus far. And it's a never-ending process of learning, reinventing yourself, trying something new. And that kind of brings us also to the last phase of your journey, which is throughout COVID, there was something happened back home. Yeah. You had to go to France, and you also shot the Olympic Games, I assume, and during that time as well.
At that moment. So basically what happens is that I went for a bit of a break, you know, as a road trip. I converted a camper van in 2017, and unfortunately I first lost my brother in 2018, so it really got me very, very badly. But then this van conversion was my let go, you know, so I started putting all my sadness and stuff and my emotions into that build. And then I hit the road. I went up to Cairns, then went back to Byron Bay for 6 months. And then that's when there were the bushfires in Australia, massive bushfires. So it was very tough up there because the air was unbreathable. There was a lot of smoke everywhere. So I decided to come back to Melbourne. And when I came back to Melbourne in 2019, then that's when COVID hit. Unfortunately, at that stage, my dad got sick in 2020 with cancer. So it was another very stressful moment for me, living that far from my family, you know. But that was at the same time the choice that I did. And I couldn't see my dad for about roughly 2 years. So it was very, very challenging by the time because I didn't even know if I would see him again. So in 2022, when the borders reopened, I decided to pack my stuff and in a container, which cost me pretty much $5,000, and then came back to France for indefinite time because I didn't know what would happen with my dad.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's back to back. You had big losses with your brother and your father. You went back home not knowing where your career will end as well, because here you build up like the network and everything.
Yeah.
And then you go back home and it's kind of like a little bit of a restart as well.
100%, yeah, 100%. And that's also the beauty of having a good network, that all the amount of time that I spent in Paris, you know, like I sort of managed to reconnect quite quickly with people, which is very good. So I reconnected with SIPA Press. That sent me onto different celebrity shoots again, which was amazing. And they ended up like sending me to cover the Olympic Games as well, which was a big thing, you know. I also used that amount of time in France to start creating a course for photographers to help people learn photography, but also I managed to jump on board creating content with one of my good friends. His name is Jack. He's a singer, and I followed him around on different massive stages. So it was a bit of an up and down in France, but in the end, I still managed to keep going, you know.
And then after some time, yeah, your father unfortunately passed away, and then you end up moving back to Melbourne again.
Yeah, back to Melbourne. You know, it's always been the challenge, like start something here, and then something happens, and then you go there, and then you start again. So I'm not afraid of starting again anymore, I can say that. But to be honest, yeah, after my dad's loss, my dad was a very courageous man, and that's the legacy he gave me. Like, you gotta keep moving forward, you know. And so life continues. So I decided to go back to Melbourne because that's where, you know, most part of my business was before leaving in 2022. So I decided to come back to the roots here and then take a big step forward, creating an agency. So that's when I started Velours Media. And yeah.
We had a chat about a velour. Can you translate it?
Yeah, so velours in French is like velvet in English. So velvet is a very very noble fabric. We use that for, like, you know, castles in France and stuff like that. So it's very, very noble, and so I
golden threads embedded in it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I really liked the association with that word and the luxurious environment I was working with, you know, the brands, the premium brands I was working with, like Ferrari and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I thought velour, but we write it with the S in French. So that's why I picked the S. So that's when velour.
You don't pronounce the S's often in French words?
No, we don't pronounce, we say velour, but you guys here would pronounce the S at the end, velours, and I thought it was quite funny to keep the S for the French touch, you know.
Velours Media, check it out, and that is like really incredible journey, and thank you for, you know, being open with sharing, you know, very personal stuff with us today. That is in itself very courageous, and again, like, sorry for what happened. It's a very tough journey you've gone through. Personally, look, I've had something similar to through the war and like with Ukraine and Russia. My grandparents are still in Russia. Unfortunately, through that period, they both passed as well, and that was very difficult because no one could really go back into Russia. I mean, I could go back, but I might not return as an as a business owner, but as a kind of a soldier. So this is a very risky move. And just throughout my journey, I realized also, like with our parents not being here and them being in Europe, and my wife's parents are in the States, I realized this very quickly in Australia. I need an online business, right? Because each time I switched a location, I needed to get a job somewhere, or kind of like that financial part wasn't really solved. Yeah. And I wanted to move often. I want to see my parents. I want to travel around. That was really my initial journey with online business, which was e-commerce dropshipping. So that was like selling random products from China, running ads to landing page, and throughout the whole world, the order coming in, and you only fulfill the order once the sale is made. And it was a no-brainer offer, and there's no friction to get it started, which really got me into that. That was like the key lesson, the key skill that I learned, which is meta advertising, that we still use to the very same day.
Awesome. Yeah, if we can touch base quickly on that, like with your journey, what made you go from like fruit picking around Cairns to like, working for companies and dealing with like millions of dollars of revenue for them, for your clients?
Look, truth to be told, it's been a very long journey, right? So it's been a journey of many years. And with the initial steps, I think what really, the reason why I still do what I do is because I really love marketing, and I love advertising, and I love the craft. It's a creative form of art, actually. Yeah. How you can position a specific product. There's 10 businesses selling the exact same thing. How can you make sure that one person jumps out? Yeah. That is something that I found always very exciting. And also throughout the journey, all these little digital marketing skills, from launching your website, from learning how to set up an email sequence. Like I remember with the first like sale I've got with Shopify, I called PayPal to confirm, like, hey, is this actually like a real sale? Like, will it go to my bank account, or like what's happening here? So it was an incredible journey, and I genuinely love like all the techie, nerdy things that I think for a lot of people they really get in the way of making progress. Yeah. And through tens of thousands of mini learnings and micro steps, it became better and better and better over time. And yeah. I think I never really was afraid of reaching out to big brands and big names. Yeah. And I was always just like, hey, this is such and such result I've already been able to achieve. Yeah. I can see you're doing something wrong here. Let's fix it. Let me do an audit. 100%, yeah. That's been always the pitch. Finding out someone you want to work with, send them a personal message via email, giving them a little bit value up front, do like a really clean audit, and based on the audit, you create like an advertising package. Right, and in the initial journey, after like the e-com brand I've had, and friends and kind of small kind of businesses that I was able to help with, and over time it snowballed into bigger and bigger brands.
I think what's interesting with that is the fact that what you guys need to get away with is also the fact that the more skills you have, the more it compounds over time, and yeah, these are very very valuable things to have. To sort of invest in yourself and in your skills?
Now, what I would love to chat about is like AI. Obviously, that's like the very big thing right now. Also in photography, even, especially like both in the media companies we run, there's so many changes happening, and in things even like 3 months ago, like it's done completely different now. Where do you see like AI in photography? I've personally seen incredible Instagram profiles where it's all AI. So the persona, the brand is like an AI girl or an AI guy and they're promoting a bunch of products or influencer marketing. That's already been happening, and it's just like, it's insane how detailed things are and how natural it appears. Where do you see photography going?
Yeah, it's gone crazy, to be honest. Like, if you compare to when AI just got out, let's say 2022, 2023, and they were releasing that first video. I don't know if you remember the first video with Will Smith eating pasta. Do you remember that video? No. It was very messy. Like, you couldn't see the fingers properly, like the pasta. He had some teeth all over his face. And nowadays, if you compare to that same video that they've done of him eating pasta, it's like incredible. So I think with AI, it's like there's two sides of things. You know, there's always the scary side, and there's always the side that, how am I going to use that to leverage my business? You know, and I think that's the mindset we should be focused on. I feel like it will never replace a human, but at the same time, like big production for videos they used to, you know, invest like hundreds of thousands of dollars in like massive ad campaign, for example, for the automotive industry, you know. And nowadays the fact that you can just do that in your bedroom in like an hour or two, it's insane for like no budget, pretty much. So I think there's some very incredible things happening where you can also use that to sort of create a product or illustrate what you're trying to sell. But at the same time, you got to think of, you know, the other side where you still need that human connection with the client. So I think it's good to think about like implementing it in your workflow and your creativity, but not having this as a whole thing. That's my opinion and my take on that.
Yeah, personally, I think our industry is getting hit very hard, right? Like, we've got even the website, the same thing as with the video shoots. 3D websites used to be very, very difficult to create. A lot of coding was required to create even the most basic elements. Like, for instance, Shopify has this globe, and like when you scroll, like you can kind of see where the orders are coming from. Yeah. So elements like these that used to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Like now, in literally like in 1 second, you could recreate it. And then a lot of changes on the Facebook and the Google ads. The campaigns are becoming more and more simplified. Like, there's more AI targeting and everything involved. Yeah. So that all becomes very simple. Still, it requires skill to set up, but there's no more like in the past. Especially with Facebook, if you're like a skilled media buyer, you could kind of force your way in. Yeah. That is no longer the case. And what I'm seeing right now is that content, being able to produce authentic, genuine content, that in my opinion is going to become king, yeah. Right? Because if you can produce organic content, you can post it on your Instagram or your socials. Yeah. But also through the skill, you'll be able to leverage that and create better advertising campaigns. Sure. Right? And what I'm seeing is like with AI, let's just assume that everyone can create the best campaigns in the world. Everyone can create the best images, ad copy, everything is like AI. Then the question is like, what is actually going to win? If everything is the same and if everything is very easy to produce, it's going to be like sugar and flour, like you can buy it at the supermarket. Yeah, sure. So then the question is, what is going to stand out? And the only thing, in my opinion, is personal brands, authenticity, genuine people sharing their story with what we're kind of doing as well. And that is like across all businesses going to be the key. You need to be doing, even if you're in a service business, even if you're a bricklayer, you know, tell your story. How did you go into bricklaying? You know, like that is what people want to see. They want to see a person behind the service that they buy.
Yeah, I can just 100% relate to what you're saying. Like, I really believe that the human is at the center of all businesses, and so yeah, that's also what the people have been wanting more and more on socials. Like, they want to see the behind the scenes of your business. They're even more attracted by what you're doing, showing you filming or taking photos rather than, you know, the end result, which is crazy. But that's how we relate to people. We buy from people. You know, we buy with emotion. So the best way to give that emotion is through human connections. So yeah, 100% agree with you.
And then when it also comes down to the, like as an agency owner, we're talking about like how can we kind of like provide the most amount of value to our clients and stuff. And I think it comes down to, instead of just having like an isolated skill, like, oh, I run Google ads. I've already mentioned we had a very, very successful e-com campaign. It was over 10x return. Yeah. And the campaign was so simple. It was like a PMAX campaign and a brand search campaign. It was crushing it. But then in the end, the business owner was like, oh, we already have the business, we already have the brand, right? So we lost all the leverage in the campaign. That's when you lose it. But instead, and that wasn't really the case with this particular brand, where we could have offered like, and the website creation and stuff, but they were like very fixed minded. What I'm trying to say is, you need to help people with way many more stuff, right? Like content as front, you come in and shoot and help the person film the content. Yeah. That's a huge needle mover, and that's so difficult to do for a business owner. Yeah. And based off that, you can help them with the Facebook ads, Google ads. You help them build like a system that can capture that attention, convert it into leads and appointments. Yeah. And then the final step, even helping them with scripts on closing, because that's what also business owners very struggle with. Yeah. Oh, you get the leads, it's like the receptionist is trying to pick up the call, like they can't even do it. So that's the whole ecosystem like I'm trying to I guess build out, and that's where we personally going as an agency. Sure. So,
and it's also interesting because you're touching base on that, and you know that's one of the biggest transformation I've had, I think, over the last couple of years, is that transitioning from like being a freelancer and moving from a one-off projects to another, having uncertainty in terms of revenue, to like creating a proper agency with like being a founder, but also putting systems in place for my clients, you know, having a whole system in place with a framework, creating the strategy, working on that strategy, then implementing a photo shoot, then launching an ad campaign and having some outcome and result for the client. That's one of the biggest awakening I've had over the last 2 years, I guess. So now I tend to focus more on the outcome and the results rather than the assets themselves, you know?
Yeah, instead of just coming in as a photographer, here are the photos, here are the raw files. So, you still need to edit it. You need to do so much stuff with it, and then you need to post it. You need to do it. It really comes down to, indeed, like doing the full package. Yeah. And I think that's definitely going to be the biggest transformation in your business that you're going to have. Instead of doing the one isolated task, instead of just doing that one thing, it's going to be one part of the whole system that drives the outcome for the business owner.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Epic stuff. So one last thing, like around the mindset, like synchronicities, law of manifestation.
Now we're into the woo.
Now into the woo mode. Tell me, I guess, like a few very interesting. You mentioned like you're writing things down on pieces of paper before they come true, kind of thing. Yeah. Like really share a few things about mindset.
Yeah, for sure. So, like it's always been up and down in my life. There's been moments where I was 100% into my good routine in the morning, and somewhere I was like very off, especially in these very tough moments. But usually most part of the time, I wake up and I say all of these great affirmations, I think the key thing here is that what I would recommend to people is having a proper goal and a proper compass, having a direction in life where you want to go from where you are to where you want to be, because this will help you in the most challenging moments of your life. Whenever you ask, what the fuck am I doing here? Having that direction and this path helps you along the way. So being a big, believer into manifestation and that sort of stuff, I think you also create your future by having some thoughts and the people you surround yourself with, the environment, which is very important. So my best recommendation would be, you know, like if you want to attract things in your life, you gotta think about them. You gotta act like you already have them. You know, tell these amazing affirmations on a daily basis. You know, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And for example, coming back to that studio in Paris, I manifested it. I was looking for that studio. I wanted to go deeper into the celebrity kind of things and, you know, Miss France, that sort of stuff. So I was thinking, I was obsessed by big photographers by that time, you know. And so the end result was that I manifested that studio like that. And it disappeared like that. When I changed my mindset. That's the craziest part of it.
You got it, and you got the outcomes, and you've worked with all of the top brands and everything. And you got everything out of it what you wanted, and at that time it's just it lets itself go as well. 100%. There's a saying, what you seek is seeking you, right? And I think even like regardless whether it's AI, content, advertising campaigns, a lot of business owners, like including our own agency, we want to grow, we want to go to the next level, we want to improve ourselves. And I think the main key thing is like always be mindful of, okay, like what's the outcome? What do you actually want to achieve? Is this just the numbers, or is it a specific life you want to live? Is it like how do you want to live your life? And I've always been very big on lifestyle, which is I guess the reason why we're recording this like right at the beach. I've personally always wanted to work online, have an online team of world-class experts that support our team and the businesses we serve. And like the crazy part, just like you had like your office, I've even way before living at the beach, I've always had images of the beach, and I used to come here cycling as well. Like this whole strip, I used to come and cycle. I used to go like just jump in the sea. Yeah. And I saw people there. I saw people with a dog. That meant like they were living there. There was like one crazy place on the second floor. They have like this transparent swimming pool. Yeah. So it's like a 3-story home, but one of the floors is like that transparent swimming pool. Nice one. And I used to look at it and I'm like, wow, like this is insane. And I always wanted it. And luckily, like there's only 400 homes across the strip, and we've lived already in 2 out of the 400 homes over the last 6 years now, right? So I've been here for a long time. It's not just like an Airbnb we rent out and we shoot the spot. But I feel like that's what it's all about. It's like having that mindset. Okay, I want to do this. This is how I want to live. This is the business that I want to build. This is like the revenue. This is the team I want to have. Yeah. Really take a time on Saturday and Sunday before the craziness begins and just like really write things down. Okay, like this is how I want to live. This is my daily structure. These are the actions that I need to take. And I personally do this every weekend. Instead of a New Year's goal, once a year where you having a drink, you're having a smoke or something, and you're like setting a goal, and then it's like 2 weeks in, it's gone. I think that's just so important to constantly revisit what you want. And a very awkward thing recently happened when we kind of moved into this place. And I've had the pilot license done, and our son was born, and the business had like record months. But I felt super strange. I was like, "Whoa, is this it?" So now I need to do it again. Like I need to redo it again. Now I need to set even bigger goals, and I need to strive for something different. Yeah. And for me, I always loved doing creative stuff, which is why I want to do like more podcasts, shoot more content. Yeah. And this is something like a big part of the business I've been really slacking at. Yeah. There's this quote from Tony Robbins that I really love, which is where your focus goes, energy flows. And it's so relevant, you know, for ourselves and a lot of other people. It's like the more you're going to project yourself into a situation, the more it's going to happen, you know. So yeah, it's the beauty of life and the magic of it. Incredible. Stefan, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate you and helping with the setup. Stefan is an absolute brilliant mind when it comes down to branding and perception and making sure that your business really stand out amongst everyone else. If you're interested in learning more about how he can help, how he can elevate your business, how he can create advertising campaigns that push a lot of leads, appointments to you and completely like crush the competition, veloursmedia.com. And we'll stay in touch. Really appreciate you. And let's schedule our next flight.
100%, man. I really want to get in the air with you again. It was an amazing experience we had.
What were your thoughts afterwards? It was pretty intense, right?
Oh, it was amazing. Like, but the craziest part is that we've just met like maybe a few weeks beforehand, a couple of months, and I literally gave him like 100% trust. I didn't even, I wasn't even scared about all the safety things. I was so excited to jump on board in this plane, like I didn't even think. And when we were about to land the first time and we hit the tarmac and we're like, oh, we're going up again. It was such a, very overwhelming journey. And I'm really grateful you gave me the chance to have that seat next to you. So forever grateful, guys.
It was my pleasure. We've done a very intense flight together. 3 touch and goes. Yeah. That's like the practice round to keep your license current as well. Yeah. And then we checked out the city, and then we went back. And it's been amazing having you. Let's schedule the next one in.
Thank you.
And appreciate you joining today.
Thank you. You take care, brother.